Listen closely, my friends. The strongest mind is not the mind that never suffers. It is the mind that can be wounded, tested, rejected, betrayed, and still refuse to surrender its character. Life does not ask your permission before taking something from you. It can take comfort, certainty, people, status, money, plans, even the future you thought you were guaranteed. But there is one thing it cannot take unless you hand it over: the authority to decide who you will become because of what happened to you. Most people think strength means becoming harder. It doesn't. A wall is hard, but one powerful enough force can destroy it. A Stoic mind is different. It is trained like a structure that becomes stronger under pressure because its foundation was never built on circumstances. When praise disappears, it remains. When rejection arrives, it remains. When failure humiliates it, it learns. When life removes something it loved, it grieves without becoming a prisoner of grief. The world can shake the ground beneath you, but it does not get to write the principles by which you stand. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That sentence contains an entire philosophy of becoming unbreakable. The Stoics never promised a life without pain. They taught something far more demanding: the ability to meet pain without allowing it to corrupt your judgment, destroy your discipline, or dictate your character. The goal is not to control the storm. The goal is to build a mind that does not need the storm to stop before it can remain steady. And in this video, we will uncover 10 Stoic principles for building that kind of mind. A mind that does not collapse under rejection, does not become arrogant under success, does not lose itself in failure, does not depend on approval, and does not surrender its peace whenever life refuses to follow the plan. But the deeper you go, the more you discover that an unbreakable mind is not created by avoiding weakness. It is created by deliberately confronting the places where weakness has been controlling you without your permission. Because eventually, life will test every belief you have about yourself. Someone will leave, something will fail, a plan will collapse, a person you trusted may disappoint you. And in that moment, the real question will not be, "Why is this happening to me?" It will be something far more powerful. What kind of person will I become because this happened? That question is where Stoic strength begins, and where the construction of a mind that nothing outside you can truly break begins. Principle 1. Control your mind. The world becomes powerful over you the moment you allow it to decide what happens inside you. Someone can insult you, reject you, betray you, or take something you love, but none of those events automatically have the authority to destroy your character. The event is outside your command. The judgment you form about it is where your real battle begins. An unbreakable mind is built when you stop asking life to become easier and start becoming stronger than the conditions you cannot control. Epictetus began Stoic discipline with one of the most important distinctions in philosophy. Some things are in our control and others not. Your body can become sick, people can leave, plans can collapse, and circumstances can turn against you, but your judgment, intention, and choice of response remain the territory where your freedom lives. Imagine a fortress whose gates cannot stop the weather, armies, or darkness from existing outside its walls, but whose foundation is so deeply rooted that the storm cannot move it. Your mind must become that fortress, not by preventing the storm, but by refusing to let the storm become its ruler. Marcus Aurelius faced an empire filled with war, disease, political betrayal, and uncertainty, yet he repeatedly brought himself back to the same battlefield, his own mind. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The depth of this idea is easy to miss. Strength does not come from controlling more things. It comes from becoming less dependent on controlling things you never possessed in the first place. The person who needs everything to go according to plan is fragile. The person who can remain principled when the plan collapses is becoming difficult to break. Think of a tree growing on the edge of a mountain. The wind does not ask whether its branches are ready. It bends them, strips away weak limbs, and returns again and again. But beneath the surface, the roots are doing something the storm cannot see. They are going deeper. That is what adversity should do to a Stoic mind. It should not merely make you endure more pain. It should expose where you were dependent on approval, comfort, certainty, or control, and force you to build your foundation somewhere deeper. So when something goes wrong, before asking, "How do I stop this?" ask the harder question, "What part of this still belongs to me?" Maybe you cannot control what they said, but you control whether bitterness becomes your personality. Maybe you cannot control who leaves, but you control whether abandonment makes you abandon yourself. Maybe you cannot control failure, but you control whether failure becomes evidence that you are finished or material from which you rebuild. The moment you reclaim that distinction, circumstances lose one of their greatest weapons against you, and you discover that the mind becomes hardest to break when it stops demanding that reality obey it. Principle 2. Master your judgment. What breaks most people is not what happens to them. It is the meaning they attach to what happens. A rejection becomes, "I am not enough." A failure becomes, "I will never succeed." Betrayal becomes, "I can never trust anyone again." The event happens once, but the mind can recreate it 1,000 times, adding fear, humiliation, anger, and predictions that were never actually part of reality. The Stoic learns to separate the wound from the story built around the wound. Seneca captured this psychological trap with the words, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Notice how deep that is. Your mind can take a single fact and build an entire prison around it. Someone rejected you. That is a fact. Nobody will ever choose me again is a prediction. You failed once. That is a fact. I am a failure is an identity you constructed from it. The unbreakable mind does not deny facts. It refuses to manufacture suffering that the facts themselves never demanded. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of stone. One person sees only something heavy, cold, and immovable. The sculptor sees something that can be shaped. The stone did not change. The interpretation changed. Adversity works the same way. The same failure can make one person bitter and another disciplined. The same rejection can make one person desperate for approval and another finally discover self-respect. The circumstance is real, but the meaning you carve into it determines what it becomes inside you. This is why Stoic discipline demands that you examine your first judgment instead of immediately believing it. When something painful happens, create a space between what happened and what you tell yourself it means. Ask, what do I actually know? What am I assuming? What part is fear speaking? What remains possible? That small separation can prevent an emotional moment from becoming a permanent identity. You don't need to control your first thought. You need to become strong enough not to obey every thought that arrives first. And this becomes especially powerful when life attacks something you deeply value. If someone leaves, you can grieve without concluding that you are unlovable. If you lose an opportunity, You can feel disappointment without declaring your future finished. If people misunderstand you, you can accept the pain without turning their judgment into your identity. The mind becomes difficult to break when reality can hurt it without being allowed to define it. You feel the blow, examine the judgment, and choose your meaning with discipline. Because eventually you discover something most people never realize. Your mind does not simply experience reality, it interprets it. And if you never learn to question those interpretations, you may spend your entire life fighting enemies that exist mostly inside your own conclusions. The next level of Stoic strength begins when you learn not merely to control what you think, but to become ruthless about which thoughts deserve to be believed. Principle 3. Embrace discomfort. A mind that must always be comfortable will eventually become a mind that can be controlled by discomfort. The moment life becomes difficult, it searches for escape, distraction, excuses, pleasure, approval, someone to blame. But every time you immediately escape what is difficult, you teach your mind a dangerous lesson. That discomfort is something to fear. The Stoics trained themselves in the opposite direction, not to worship suffering, but to become familiar with it so that suffering could no longer dictate their behavior. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." The point is not that pain is automatically good. Pain can destroy a person when it is met without meaning or discipline. The deeper lesson is that voluntary difficulty can train the exact capacities you will need when involuntary difficulty arrives. If you practice doing what is difficult while you still have a choice, then when life removes the choice, you are not meeting hardship as a stranger. You have already trained the part of yourself that knows how to remain standing. Imagine a blade being forged. Fire does not ask the metal whether it wants to become stronger. Heat softens it, the hammer strikes it, cold water shocks it, and the process repeats. To an observer, it looks like destruction, but the pressure is not destroying the blade. It is removing what cannot survive the purpose it is being shaped for. Your difficult seasons can work the same way. Every time you willingly face something uncomfortable instead of immediately escaping it, you are teaching your nervous system, your judgment, and your character, "I can remain here without losing myself." This is why the Stoics practiced things that deliberately challenged comfort. They contemplated loss, endured simplicity, and reminded themselves that possessions and circumstances were temporary, not because they hated pleasure or wanted misery, but because dependence creates fragility. If your happiness requires perfect comfort, then discomfort becomes your master. If your confidence requires constant praise, criticism becomes your master. If your peace requires certainty, uncertainty becomes your master. The Stoic trains until these conditions may influence him, but they no longer command him. So don't run from every uncomfortable conversation, difficult task, lonely evening, disciplined routine, or honest confrontation with yourself. Sit with difficulty long enough to discover what it is trying to teach you. The goal is not to become someone who enjoys pain. It is to become someone who does not immediately betray his principles just because pain has arrived. There is a difference between suffering unnecessarily and refusing to be ruled by the fear of suffering. And one day, something remarkable happens. The discomfort that once frightened you begins to reveal information. You discover that you can survive silence. You can survive rejection. You can survive uncertainty. You can survive being misunderstood. And once your mind learns that discomfort cannot automatically destroy you, Fear loses one of its deepest weapons. But there is an even greater test ahead, because discomfort can strengthen you, yet the most dangerous thing to a strong mind is sometimes not pain at all. It is pleasure that quietly teaches you to become weak. Principle 4. Master your desires. A mind becomes fragile the moment it believes, "I must have this to be okay." It may be a person, recognition, money, comfort, success, status, pleasure, or simply the certainty that tomorrow will go according to plan. The object itself is not always the problem. The dependence is. When your peace becomes conditional, "I will be happy when I get this, when they choose me, when people respect me, when everything works out," you have quietly built a chain around your own mind. Epictetus taught, "It is not things that disturb people, but their judgments about things." This becomes even deeper when you examine desire. The moment you tell yourself that something must happen, a preference becomes a demand. And once it becomes a demand, reality can hurt you simply by refusing to obey. The Stoic does not stop wanting good things. He stops making his inner stability dependent on receiving them. He can pursue success without worshipping it, love without possessing it, and enjoy comfort without becoming its prisoner. Imagine a person holding a glass sculpture while walking through a crowded city. He's terrified every second, not because the sculpture is necessarily fragile, but because his entire sense of safety depends on never dropping it. Every movement becomes anxiety. Every vibration becomes fear. Now imagine the same person appreciating the sculpture while knowing he can survive if it breaks. The object has not changed. His relationship with it has. That is what Stoic detachment means. Not refusing to value things, but refusing to become psychologically owned by what you value. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the things around him were temporary and subject to change. This wasn't pessimism, it was preparation. When you remember that everything external is borrowed from time, gratitude becomes deeper and fear becomes smaller. You enjoy people without pretending they are permanent. You use possessions without allowing them to define your identity. You pursue achievement without believing that achievement will finally prove your worth. You appreciate life without demanding that life guarantee you another day exactly like today. This is where many people misunderstand strength. They think a powerful mind is one that can get whatever it wants. The Stoic discovers a deeper form of power, becoming someone who remains whole when he does not get what he wants. That is a freedom few people possess. If success comes, you remain grounded. If it disappears, you remain grounded. If praise arrives, you don't become addicted to it. If criticism arrives, you don't collapse. Your desires can guide your actions, but they no longer have the authority to determine your worth. So examine the sentence hidden beneath your strongest desires. "I need this in order to be okay." That sentence may reveal the exact place where life can break you. Replace it with something stronger. "I want this. I will work for it. I will appreciate it if it comes, but I will remain myself if it doesn't." That is not giving up ambition. That is removing the chains from ambition. And when desire stops controlling your emotional stability, something extraordinary happens. You stop chasing life with desperation and start meeting it with intention. But there is another attachment even more subtle than desire, the belief that your past mistakes have the authority to define who you are. And an unbreakable mind must eventually learn how to face its own past without becoming imprisoned by it. Principle 5. Master your past. Your past can explain the person you became, but it has no right to decide the person you will become. A mistake can become a lesson, or it can become a prison. A betrayal can teach discernment, or it can turn you into someone who trusts nobody. A failure can sharpen your character, or become the evidence you repeatedly present against yourself. The event happened once. The mind is the place where it can either end or continue happening forever. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The past becomes especially dangerous when memory stops being a teacher and becomes a courtroom. You replay what you should have said, what you should have done, who you should have trusted, and where everything went wrong. You keep putting your former self on trial with knowledge that person did not possess at the time. You judge yesterday's decisions using today's understanding, forgetting that wisdom itself was created by the mistakes you're condemning. Imagine an architect standing before a building that collapsed because of a weakness in its foundation. He has two choices. He can spend the rest of his life staring at the ruins, blaming himself for every stone that fell, or he can study the wreckage until he understands exactly why it collapsed, and then build the next structure differently. The ruins are not useless if they become blueprints. Your past works the same way. The goal isn't to erase what happened. It is to extract every piece of wisdom that happened to contain. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that life is always moving forward and that our time is limited. That awareness changes the relationship you have with regret. If you spend today's energy punishing yourself for yesterday, you are allowing the past to steal the exact resource you need to become better. Regret becomes useful only when it produces responsibility. Beyond that, it becomes self-punishment wearing the mask of wisdom. You do not honor your mistakes by suffering forever because of them. You honor them by refusing to repeat what they taught you. And forgiveness here is not weakness. You may never excuse what someone did to you. You may never trust them again. You may still remember the damage, but you can refuse to keep allowing their actions to determine your emotional life. Forgiveness can mean removing their fingerprints from the steering wheel of your future. You stop asking the past to become different and start asking yourself what can still be built from what remains. So when the memory returns, don't run from it and don't worship it. Study it. What did it reveal about your judgment? What did it teach you about people? What boundary did you fail to set? What strength did you discover afterward? Take the lesson and leave the punishment. Because an unbreakable mind does not have a perfect history. It has a history that has been transformed into wisdom. And once you stop using your past as a weapon against yourself, you discover another hidden weakness, the fear of an uncertain future. Because even after you make peace with what happened, your mind can still destroy your present by trying to predict everything that might happen next. Principle 6. Master uncertainty. A fragile mind needs to know what happens next. An unbreakable mind learns how to stand even when it doesn't. Much of human anxiety is not created by reality itself, but by the mind demanding guarantees that reality cannot provide. What if they leave? What if I fail? What if everything changes? What if the plan collapses? You can spend an entire life trying to predict tomorrow, only to discover that while you were preparing for an imaginary future, you abandoned the only moment you could actually control. The Stoics understood that uncertainty is not an error in life, it is life. Epictetus taught us to distinguish between what belongs to our control and what does not. You can prepare, plan, practice, and act wisely, but you cannot purchase certainty. The moment you demand certainty before moving forward, You become a prisoner of conditions that may never arrive. Courage is not knowing that everything will work out. Courage is knowing that even if it doesn't, you will meet it with the mind you have trained. Imagine a mountain climber ascending through thick fog. He cannot see the summit. He cannot see the entire path. He can only see the next few steps beneath his feet. If he refuses to move until the entire mountain becomes visible, he will never reach the top. The fog does not mean there is no path. It means the path must be discovered one step at a time. Life often works the same way. You don't need a complete map to make the next right decision. You need enough clarity to take the step that belongs to you now. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly returned his attention to the present task, rather than sacrificing the present to imagined futures. That is a profound form of mental discipline. The future deserves preparation, not worship. Prepare for difficulty, but don't live inside it before it arrives. Think about possible outcomes, but don't emotionally suffer through events that exist only in your imagination. Your mind is an extraordinary instrument, but without discipline, it can turn possibility into catastrophe and imagination into unnecessary pain. This is where an unbreakable mind becomes different. It doesn't say, "Nothing bad will happen." It says, "Whatever happens, I will meet it." That distinction changes everything. You stop needing life to promise you safety before you can feel strong. You stop needing other people to guarantee they will stay. You stop needing success to guarantee your worth. You stop needing tomorrow to look exactly like the future you imagined. You build confidence not from predicting the future, but from trusting the character you are building today. And when you stop demanding certainty, fear begins losing its favorite weapon, the unknown. You realize that the future does not have to be understood before it can be faced. You only need to become the kind of person who can meet whatever the future brings. But uncertainty is not the final test of a powerful mind, because even when you accept that you cannot control tomorrow, there remains something capable of quietly destroying your strength today: the opinions of other people. Principle 7. Master others' opinions. The moment your worth depends on another person's opinion, you hand them a piece of your freedom. One compliment can lift you, one criticism can ruin your day, one rejection can make you question yourself, and suddenly your emotional state is being controlled by people who may not even understand your life. The unbreakable mind does not become arrogant enough to believe everyone is wrong. It becomes wise enough to understand that not every opinion deserves equal weight. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That is a brutal lesson in independence. Imagine how much of your life changes when you no longer need to look intelligent in every room, impressive in every conversation, successful in every comparison. You stop performing for the crowd and start building for yourself. Because the person obsessed with being understood will constantly edit himself to fit other people's expectations, while the person anchored in principle can remain honest even when honesty costs him approval. Think of a mountain standing above a crowded valley. People below can point toward it, criticize its shape, argue about its height, or even refuse to believe it exists. But none of their opinions move the mountain an inch. Its position is determined by its foundation, not by the noise around it. Your character needs the same kind of foundation. If every criticism can redefine you, then your identity is still being outsourced. But if you know your values, examine criticism honestly, correct what is true, and release what is false, you become increasingly difficult to manipulate. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by people who could praise him, flatter him, oppose him, or betray him. Yet he repeatedly reminded himself to return to virtue, rather than reputation. That distinction matters. Reputation asks, "What do they think I am?" Character asks, "What am I when nobody is watching?" The first can change in a moment. The second is built through thousands of private decisions, and when those decisions become your foundation, public opinion loses the power to rewrite your identity. This does not mean becoming deaf to criticism. An unbreakable mind is not a mind that refuses correction. It is a mind that can receive criticism without becoming emotionally owned by it. If someone exposes a real weakness, take the lesson. If someone misunderstands you, don't destroy yourself trying to force understanding. If someone dislikes you for living according to your principles, let them. You are not required to become smaller so another person's judgment can become comfortable. Eventually, you reach a point where approval feels pleasant but no longer feels necessary. Rejection hurts, but no longer defines you. Praise can enter without inflating your ego, and criticism can enter without destroying your identity. That is freedom, not when everyone approves of you, but when their approval is no longer required for you to respect yourself. And once you stop allowing other people's opinions to control your mind, you are ready for an even deeper battle. Learning how to remain yourself when life takes away the things you thought made you strong. Principle 8. Master loss. A mind becomes unbreakable when it learns that losing something does not mean losing itself. People leave, opportunities disappear, money can vanish, plans collapse. Even the things you thought would remain for years can suddenly become memories. The pain is real, but there is a second wound we often create ourselves. We turn the loss into a conclusion about who we are. The Stoic learns to grieve what is gone without surrendering the person who remains. Epictetus taught, "Never say about anything, 'I have lost it,' but say, 'I have given it back.'" That sentence sounds simple until you apply it to something you deeply love. The philosophy isn't telling you not to care. It is reminding you that everything external exists on borrowed time. The person you love was never guaranteed forever. The position you earned was never guaranteed forever. The body you have was never guaranteed forever. To understand impermanence is not to love less. It is to love without pretending that possession is permanent. Imagine holding sand tightly inside your fist. The harder you squeeze, the more of it escapes between your fingers. Now open your hand, and the sand can rest there without being crushed by your fear of losing it. Attachment often works the same way. We try to make people, circumstances, and moments permanent through control, but control cannot defeat time. The wiser response is to appreciate what is present while preparing your mind for the day when circumstances change. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that everything external passes. He did not use that thought to become cold. He used it to become grateful and prepared. When you remember that nothing external is permanent, you stop being shocked by impermanence. You can enjoy success without believing it will last forever. You can love someone without demanding that they never change. You can appreciate a peaceful season without believing life owes you permanent peace. And when something is eventually taken away, the pain may still arrive, but it does not arrive as a complete surprise. The deeper lesson is that loss reveals where you placed your identity. If losing money destroys your identity, perhaps you confused wealth with worth. If losing someone's affection destroys your identity, perhaps you made their approval responsible for your self-respect. If failure makes you believe you are nothing, perhaps you built your identity around achievement instead of character. Loss becomes a brutal mirror. It shows you what you thought you could not live without. So when life takes something from you, don't ask only, "How do I get it back?" Ask something deeper. Who am I without it? If the answer is still a person with principles, dignity, courage, discipline, and the ability to choose, then you have discovered something no loss can take from you. The strongest mind is not the one that never loses anything. It is the one that can lose what it loves and still refuse to lose itself. And once you understand that, another truth becomes impossible to ignore. Sometimes the greatest threat to your mind isn't losing something. It is allowing what you gained to become the reason you fear losing it. Principle 9. Master your ego. The easiest thing in the world is to become a prisoner of the image you have created of yourself. You want to be respected, admired, recognized, proven right, and slowly, without noticing, you begin defending an identity instead of living according to your values. A single insult can feel like an attack on your existence. A failure can feel humiliating because it threatens the person you told everyone you were. But a mind that needs to look strong is often secretly terrified of being seen as weak. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." That contradiction exposes the ego perfectly. We claim to live for ourselves, yet we constantly adjust ourselves according to the eyes of others. We defend mistakes because admitting them feels unbearable. We refuse to apologize because our pride wants victory more than truth. The Stoic understands that protecting your ego at the expense of truth is not strength, it is self-deception. Imagine a person carrying a heavy suit of armor everywhere he goes. At first, the armor protects him, but eventually he becomes so attached to it that he forgets how to walk without it. Every criticism feels like an attack. Every disagreement becomes a battle. Every mistake becomes something he must hide. The armor that once protected him has become the weight that controls him. Ego can work exactly like that. It begins as self-protection and eventually becomes a prison built from the fear of looking imperfect. The unbreakable mind does not need to win every argument because it is more interested in truth than victory. It can say, "I was wrong." It can listen without preparing a defense. It can learn from someone younger, less successful, or completely different from itself. It can walk away from an insult without needing the final word. This is not weakness. It takes enormous inner strength to let your ego lose while your character wins. And this is where Stoicism becomes brutally practical. The next time someone challenges your intelligence, your status, your decisions, or your image, pause before defending yourself. Ask, am I protecting something true or simply protecting my pride? That question can reveal the difference between dignity and ego. Dignity doesn't need applause. Ego does. Dignity can admit a mistake. Ego must rewrite the story. Dignity remains steady when ignored. Ego needs to be seen. When you stop needing to prove that you are strong, you become much harder to break. Because people can attack your reputation, but they cannot easily destroy a character that does not depend on reputation. They can misunderstand you without changing you. They can underestimate you without shrinking you. They can criticize you without becoming your judge. And when your identity is rooted in virtue rather than image, you no longer spend your strength defending a version of yourself. You spend it becoming a better one. But there is one final enemy waiting beneath the ego, the need to control the outcome. Because even after you learn to control your judgments, desires, past, uncertainty, opinions, loss, and ego, life will still refuse to obey you. And the strongest mind must learn the final discipline, to give everything you have to the action and release your demand for the result. Principle 10. Master the outcome. You can control your effort completely and still lose the result. That is not failure. It is reality. You can prepare perfectly and still be rejected. You can work honestly and still be overlooked. You can give everything to something and still watch it collapse. The fragile mind interprets this as injustice. The Stoic mind understands something deeper. Your responsibility is to give the action your highest standard, not to force reality to reward you for it. Epictetus taught, there is only one thing that is truly yours, your will. Everything else exists in a different category. You can choose how seriously you prepare, how honestly you act, how courageously you speak, and how disciplined you remain. But you cannot command another person's decision, guarantee success, or dictate the final outcome. The moment you demand a specific result in exchange for your effort, you turn your effort into a bargain with reality. And reality never signed that contract. Imagine an archer standing before the target. He can control his stance, his breathing, the tension of the bow, his focus, and the release. But once the arrow leaves the string, the wind belongs to the world. A disciplined archer doesn't become careless because he cannot control the wind. He becomes more precise about everything that was always his to control. That is Stoic discipline. Give everything to the shot, but don't make your peace dependent on where the arrow finally lands. Marcus Aurelius understood this distinction deeply. Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life. There is something profound hidden inside that instruction. It redirects your attention from "what will I get?" to "how well will I do what is mine to do?" You stop working only when recognition is guaranteed. You stop being kind only when kindness is returned. You stop pursuing excellence only when success is certain. Your standard becomes internal. This is where the mind becomes extraordinarily difficult to break. Rejection can stop you from getting an outcome, but it cannot stop you from acting with courage. Failure can take away a result, but it cannot take away the lesson. Someone can refuse to recognize your effort, but they cannot erase the discipline you built through making it. When the process itself becomes part of your character, the outcome loses its ability to define you. So give your best without demanding that life give you exactly what you requested in return. Fight for what matters, but don't make victory the condition for your peace. Love deeply, but don't demand permanence. Build relentlessly, but don't worship the result. Control the preparation. Control the effort. Control the integrity of the action. Then release what was never yours to command. Because that is the final transformation. You stop measuring your strength by how perfectly life obeys you and start measuring it by how completely you remain yourself when life doesn't. At that point, failure becomes information, rejection becomes redirection, uncertainty becomes territory, and adversity becomes training. The world can change the outcome, but it can no longer easily change the person who meets it. That is how a mind becomes something far more powerful than invulnerable. It becomes adaptable without becoming weak, and unshakable without becoming rigid. In the end, an unbreakable mind is not a mind that never gets hurt. It is a mind that refuses to let pain become its identity. Life will still take things from you. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still collapse. The future will still surprise you. But after these 10 principles, the goal is no longer to demand a softer world. It is to build a stronger inner world, one that can face reality without surrendering its values, discipline, judgment, or peace. So when the next storm arrives, don't ask, "How do I make this stop?" Ask, "What kind of person can I become through this?" Control what is yours. Question your judgments. Embrace difficulty. Master desire. Learn from your past. Accept uncertainty. Stop living for approval. Survive loss without losing yourself. Keep your ego beneath your principles and give your best without demanding control over the outcome. The world may bend your plans, break your expectations, and shake everything around you. But if you build your mind correctly, it will never get to decide who you become.